Welcome back to the deep dive. We're looking at a stack of sources today that they really address what might be the single most tension-filled moment in all of Christian theology. And it's not the moment of death, it's that immediate heartbeat after.
It is the ultimate threshold, yeah. And the sources we're looking at today, they suggest that a lot of believers are, well, they're walking toward this moment with a very incomplete map.
Right. There's this persistent idea that once you cross that finish line, it's just instant bliss, you know? Harp music and absolutely zero accountability. But the texts we're analyzing, they paint a much, much more complex picture. They talk about a fire. They talk about an audit.
They do. And this is where that theological tension really tightens.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, on one hand, you have the absolute assurance of salvation by grace. It's a gift. You can't earn it. You can't lose it.
Of course.
But on the other hand, the New Testament is so explicit about a judgment for believers that is, well, it's rigorous, it's exposing, and it's potentially filled with loss.
The paradox of being safe but scorched. That's what we're digging into today.
That's it.
We're talking about the Bema seat, the tribunal of Christ. And before we get into the heavy lifting, the Greek words and the metaphors, I just want to ask you, listening right now, what's your starting assumption here?
That's a vital question.
When you picture meeting God, do you picture a celebration? Or do you picture a performance review? Go ahead and drop a comment or just, lock that thought in your mind.
It's a vital distinction.
It is, because the sources argue that while we often lump this in with condemnation, the Bema it's something entirely unique. It's not about where you spend eternity.
Wow.
It's about how you spend eternity.
That is the perfect way to frame it. And to really get at the nuance, we have to, respect the intelligence of our audience here. Most people listening know the basic difference between the Great White Throne and the Bema.
Sure.
We know Revelation 20, the Great White Throne, that's the final judgment for the lost. That's the courtroom of condemnation.
Right, that's the criminal trial. If you're there, it's already too late. But the Bema, you see it in Romans 14, save in Corinthians 5, that's exclusively for the family.
An in-house discussion.
Exactly.
But here's where the sources push back against our modern comfort level. Just because it's a family matter doesn't mean it's casual. The Greek word Bema, historically it referred to the raised platform at the Isthmian Games.
The ancient Corinthian Olympics, basically.
Pretty much.
And I've always found that context so fascinating because it completely shifts the genre of the event, doesn't it?
It does.
It's not a courtroom where you're pleading for your life. It's the podium where you're receiving your medals.
It is an awards ceremony, yes.
Yeah.
But, and here's the catch, the sources really highlight, at those games, not everyone got a medal. You could run the race, you could finish, and still stand there empty-handed while others were being crowned. The Bema is a place of evaluation, not just celebration.
And that's the scary part. We tend to think, everyone gets a participation trophy in heaven, but the text says otherwise. 2 Corinthians 5:10 is blunt. It says, "We must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each one may receive what is due for what he has done in the body, whether good or evil."
And that phrase, receive what is due, it's financial language. It implies a transaction, an audit.
But hold on. If my salvation is settled, Ephesians 2, John 5, all those foundational texts, then what exactly is being audited? If my sin is covered by the cross, why would it even come up at the Bema?
This is the crucial distinction the sources make. Your sin, as it relates to your criminal guilt, that is gone. It was judged at Calvary.
Okay.
The Bema is not judging your sin as a crime. It is judging your faithfulness as a steward. It's an audit of your biography. What did you do with the time, the talent, the opportunities that God loaned you?
This is a question of ROI, return on investment.
Precisely. And that leads us directly into the central metaphor Paul uses in 1 Corinthians 3, which is what you could call the engineering of eternity. He describes the believer's life as a construction site.
Oh, this is one of the most vivid passages in all of Scripture. You've got the foundation, which is Christ. That's non-negotiable. If you have that, you're in the building.
Right.
But then Paul talks about the superstructure, and he divides the materials into two very specific categories.
That's right. Category A, gold, silver, precious stones. And category B, wood, hay, straw.
And the difference isn't just how expensive they are, it's about their density.
Yeah.
And their flammability.
That is the absolute key. Gold is heavy. It's rare. It takes immense pressure to form it. Right. Wood and straw, they're bulky. They're cheap. You can build a massive structure with straw in a single afternoon.
This is why I really want to push on the modern application of this, because traditionally people interpret straw as just sins, drinking, gambling, whatever.
The obvious stuff.
Yeah. But the sources suggest something much more uncomfortable. Straw isn't necessarily bad things. Straw can be good things done for all the wrong reasons.
That is a profound insight. The text doesn't say the wood, hay, and straw are evil. It just says they are fuel for the fire. You can build a massive ministry out of straw.
Wow.
You can build a global charity out of hay. But if the primary driver is ego or visibility or just busy work without any real reliance on the Spirit,
Yeah.
it looks impressive to us, but to God, it's just dry grass.
That hits hard. So you could have a pastor who works 80 hours a week, writes bestsellers, fills stadiums. I mean, to the human eye, that is a skyscraper of success.
It's a monument.
But at the Bema, if the motive was fame or insecurity...
It incinerates instantly.
Okay, so contrast that with the gold. The sources point to things like the anonymous donor, the person visiting the sick when no one is watching, intercessory prayer, which is the ultimate hidden work, right?
Gold is often invisible. That's why it's heavy. It doesn't just float to the surface for applause. It's the work done solely for the audience of one.
It reminds me of this high-volume, low-substance trap we're all in. We live in a culture that worships volume, how many followers, how much impact. But the Bema is a tribunal of density. A thimble of gold is worth more than a barnful of hay.
And that leads us to the mechanism of the judgment. Paul says the fire will test the quality of each person's work, not the quantity.
The quality.
The quality. And the quality is determined almost entirely by motive.
Which 1 Corinthians 4.5 confirms, right? It says the Lord will bring to light the hidden things of darkness and reveal the counsels of the hearts.
The counsels of the hearts. That's the terrifying part. It's an MRI of your intentions.
It is. God isn't looking at the check you wrote. He's looking at the chemical reaction in your soul when you wrote it. Did you do it to leverage influence? Straw.
Out of gilf. Wood.
Did you do it because you were just overwhelmed by the grace of God and wanted to participate in his work?
Gold.
The sources bring up the example of the tithing debate here. Two people give the exact same amount. Statistically, they are identical.
On paper, yeah.
But one is an investor expecting God to bless their business in return. The other is a worshiper.
And the investor receives their reward right here on earth. They got the business deal or the tax write-off or maybe a plaque on the pew. That was it.
The transaction is closed.
Exactly. There's no residual value for the Bema.
Jesus talks about this in the Sermon on the Mount with the Pharisees. They have their reward. That phrase it chills me. It means the applause of men is a receipt. If you cash it in now, you can't cash it in later.
It's an exchange rate problem, really. You can trade your effort for temporary honor, or you can invest it for eternal honor. You can't double dip.
This is a heavy realization. And if you're listening to this and you're feeling a bit of a check in your spirit, maybe realizing you've been building some impressive structures out of hate. Take a second to hit subscribe.
Yeah.
Because we are about to talk about what happens when the match is actually struck. And trust me, you need to understand this concept of saved, yet so as through fire.
This brings us to the hypocrisy check. The Bema is the end of the masquerade. We all wear masks, especially in religious circles. We know the lingo. We know when to raise our hands during the songs.
Oh, yeah.
The Bema strips all of that away.
So let's look at the event itself, the climax, really, of the believer's life. 1 Corinthians 3.15. If anyone's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, though he himself will be saved, but only as through fire.
We really need to sit with that phrase, suffer loss. This completely challenges the happy-clappy version of heaven. There is a real, tangible loss experienced by saved people.
But it's not the loss of salvation.
No. The foundation holds, the text is explicit. He himself will be saved. But the imagery is of a survivor escaping a burning building.
Right.
You wake up, the house is engulfed in flames, you make it out the window just as the roof collapses. You are alive, you are breathing, but you're standing on the lawn in your pajamas, smelling of smoke, watching everything you spent your life building turn to ash.
That is a devastating image. You're in heaven, but you're impoverished.
Eternally impoverished. And the sources argue this isn't just about losing stuff. It's about losing the opportunity to have glorified Christ with your life. You can't go back and relive your 30s.
No.
You can't go back and re-raise your kids. You can't go back and rewrite that check. That time is gone. It was spent on wood and hay, and now it is nothing.
The regret there, it has to be intense. I know Revelation talks about God wiping away every tear, but that implies there are tears to wipe away first.
That's a powerful point.
And I have to imagine some of those tears come from looking at Jesus and just saying, I had so much I could have given you, and I wasted it on things that just didn't matter.
It is the sadness of potential, the realization of what could have been. But again, that grace is the safety net. You are there, you are loved, but you are empty-handed.
Okay, but we don't want to leave everyone just standing in the ashes. Because the Bema isn't only a bonfire. For many, it's a coronation. And this is where the theology of the crowns comes in.
This is the pivot to hope. The New Testament mentions 5 specific crowns, stephanos in the Greek. These aren't the diadems of royalty that Jesus wears. These are victor's wreaths.
Specific rewards for specific types of faithfulness.
That's it. And I think we rush past these too often. We treat them like some generic gold star, but the sources break them down, and each one implies a very specific way of living.
So let's walk through them, because they almost act as a guide for what gold actually looks like.
Good idea.
The first one is the crown of incorruptibility from 1 Corinthians 9.
This is the athlete's crown. Paul's talking about running the race to win. This crown is for discipline. It's for the believer who masters their appetites, who exercises self-denial.
For the person who says no to the flesh so they can say yes to the spirit.
Exactly. So if you're living a life of indulgence, just drifting with whatever feels good, this crown isn't for you. This is for the disciplined.
Okay. Next is the crown of rejoicing in 1 Thessalonians 2.
This is often called the soul winner's crown. Paul tells the Thessalonians, "You are my crown." This reward is connected to people. It's for evangelism, for pouring your life into others so that they are standing there at the Bema with you.
That's beautiful. It means your reward is actually the presence of the people you impacted. Then we have the crown of righteousness in 2 Timothy 4.
This one is fascinating. It is reserved for those who love his appearing.
Which implies that some Christians don't love his appearing.
Exactly. If you are so in love with this world, so comfortable in your career, in your house, in your status, the idea of Jesus coming back is actually an interruption. You don't want him to come yet.
You want to finish the renovation first.
Right. The crown of righteousness is for the person who lives with one eye on the sky. They live holy lives because they expect the boss to walk in at any moment.
That hits home. Then there's the crown of glory in 1 Peter 5.
This one is specifically for leaders, pastors, elders, shepherds. But the qualification is rigorous. It's for those who served not for shameful gain, not domineering over those in your charge.
So the celebrity pastor who bullies his staff and flies private might have a lot of fans, but he's likely not getting this crown.
No. This is for the shepherd who smells like the sheep, for humble, sacrificial leadership.
And the final one, the crown of life, from James 1 and Revelation 2.
The heavy one, the martyr's crown, or maybe the sufferer's crown. Be faithful unto death, and I will give you the crown of life. This is for the believer who pays a price, the persecuted church, the person who holds on to their faith when their whole world is collapsing.
So you have these 5 crowns, and the cynic in me, or maybe the cynic listening, might say, well, isn't it arrogant to want a crown? Shouldn't we just be humble and say, having Jesus is enough?
That sounds spiritual, but the sources argue it's actually a misunderstanding of what the crowns are for. You don't get the crown so you can strut around heaven wearing it.
Right. Revelation 4 gives us the glimpse, doesn't it? The 24 elders fall down before the throne and cast their crowns at Jesus' feet.
This is the ultimate insight. The crowns are capacity. They're instruments of worship. And you cannot cast what you do not have.
Wow, so the tragedy of the wood, hay, and straw life isn't just that you look bad, it's that when the moment comes to honor Jesus for his grace, you have nothing to give him.
Exactly. You are standing there with empty hands.
Yeah.
You are saved, yes. Grateful, yes. But you lack the tangible fruit of your life to offer back to him. The gold isn't for your glory, it's for his.
That completely reframes the motivation. I'm not working for a reward so I can be great. I'm working for a reward so I can have a greater gift to give the king.
Precisely. It turns the Bema from a terrifying audit into, well, a quest for worship.
So as we zoom out on all this, what does this actually change? We've distinguished the tribunals, we've sorted the materials, we've faced the fire. What's the takeaway?
I think the core takeaway is that the tribunal of Christ is the engine of practical Christian living. It just destroys the idea of cheap grace. It balances the security of salvation with the absolute seriousness of stewardship.
It changes Monday morning. It changes how you send an email. It changes how you spend your discretionary income. It forces you to ask, is this activity flammable?
It acts as a filter. Every decision passes through the Be Moment filter. Will this survive the fire? And if the answer is no, maybe you shouldn't be building with it.
So here's the final thought to chew on. We often view judgment as a threat from a God who is angry. But what if the Bema is actually a severe mercy? What if the fire is there to burn away everything about you that wasn't real, so that only the true you remains for eternity?
It's a beautiful thought. But the question remains for every listener. If your life was tested by that fire right now, this very second, what would be left in the rubble? Would you find the gold of secret devotion or just the ash of public approval?
That is the question to carry with you this week. This conversation doesn't end here. It continues in how you live your life. We want to hear from you in the comments. Are you building with gold or straw? If this discussion added clarity to your walk, hit like and please subscribe to join us for the next deep dive into these biblical mysteries.
We'll see you then.
Take care.